Hey everyone. So for many years, I was stuck in this very unfortunate trap with my career, this very annoying obsession with numbers and likes and followers. And so many people today have this issue. So many creators go through this, even if you're not in entertainment or a creator, if it's for building a business, you're obsessed with how many people are engaging or following or liking your product or your page. And today I'm going to go all into the kind of psyche behind all this stuff. But before we jump into it, at the very end of this video, guys, stay tuned because I'm going to be answering some of the questions you guys have asked me earlier this week. We had an amazing week last week. We had 5 videos I put out, and you guys were very engaging and asked so many cool questions. So I want to start answering these questions at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. Today, we got to talk about the numbers, guys. We got to talk about chasing the numbers and the whole mentality and the whole mental health thing behind that. It's very, very tricky, and it's very kind of, I use the word, it's like getting in a loop. You're going to hear me use this phrase a lot because I feel like life is about loops and people getting into negative loops, repeating the same thing over and over again, not knowing how to get out and break through and get out of bad habits and just frustrating things. But like I was mentioning earlier, the followers is a very, very, it's a touchy topic because if you're an entertainer, you use social media like a tool. So you can't not have social media. Certain people don't need social media. Like if you're a certain established business person or celebrity and your brand and your likeness is just so imprinted in culture and society, you don't need social media. But nowadays, I would say 99% of everyone in every business has social media, and you're either running it yourself or you have people running your page or your content or whatever. But for the average person who's running their own social media, who's not in the business, who's not trying to even build a following, the likes and the engagement is still something that people are mildly obsessive about. And I come from many years of sort of building and posting content and dealing with the kind of pressure that comes with advancing your brand by growing at an exponential level, and dealing with the feeling of, if I'm not growing at an exponential level, I'm not doing well. I'm doing a bad job. Nobody likes me anymore. I'm falling off because I'm not gaining any more followers. And you wouldn't believe how much of this stuff is actually kind of controlled and contrived. I won't get into the whole conspiracy theory about the algorithms and whatnot, but I just want to today let you guys know, if you're at a very early stage of building your brand or your likeness or your pages on social media, I want to stop you dead in your tracks and just lay some truth and some experience on you today that will hopefully save you guys hours, days, months, years worth of just frustration, because I don't want people to get into the loop. I want people to focus on what's important in life. And at the end of the day, when everyone's all your loved ones are at your funeral, they're not really going to be talking about how many likes you got on that one picture, with you and your fruit plate, or your dog. So we have to really, I guess this message is about focusing on what's truly important in life, but mostly focusing on the numbers aspect of things. So what I like to kind of compare the followers and likes and, the excitement and the releasing of endorphins when it comes to finding out that you've gotten more likes or followers, you have to really think about Vegas. You have to think about a slot machine. It's just like a little coin, like a little thing thrown at you to make you keep coming back for more. And social media is specifically designed to sort of hook you, to get you to keep coming back, to keep you posting more content, and to see the little exciting, color of the heart pop up on the screen, when you're looking down, the scrolling mechanism. Meanwhile, I think all of our attention spans are very much reducing by a lot with social media. But there has been studies of how Facebook and Instagram use the certain color hearts for the likes that triggers us to keep coming back, very much like a slot machine. And I think it's not really the best for our mental health or our livelihood if you want to compare gambling to being on social media. Now, you're certainly not losing your money. You're not losing your savings that you've accumulated, but you're certainly losing, I think, some of your livelihood, and I think you're kind of risking your mental health a bit. So I've been in this game, guys. I know what it's like. I'm still in the game, but I'm very close to losing all my kind of affiliation and sense that I have to be a slave for the numbers. Like, if anyone has been noticing what I've been posting and putting out lately, it's I'm mostly just doing things I want to do at this point in my career. Now, mind you, I've done pretty well for myself, both Lexi and I and my family, and we have the freedoms to kind of try new things and create new things. But the reality is, like, you have a choice as a creator once you start getting momentum to kind of go with the trends and kind of follow what everyone's doing and ride your career kind of like a wave, and you'll kind of survive the whole way through. But if you do that, you're kind of at a risk of not being fully fulfilled because you're kind of doing what you're doing to kind of follow trends and not do, what you truly want to do. And I feel like people have lots of huge success by doing that, and they're fine with doing it. But I think that there's something in them, in their soul, that feels kind of a bit unfulfilled. And I've seen this time and time again. And basically, when I talk about the algorithms, sometimes, like, I'll put so much effort into a video. I'll spend a very long time prepping. I've made, some notes here that I'm kind of going off of on my computer, and I've set up my mic, I've set up my camera. And, I have a discussion topic, and, sometimes I'll post something and it doesn't get the views or the likes that I wish it had gotten. Now, I can't be too, once again, I'm kind of phasing out of not being worried about this stuff and just doing things that fulfill me and that kind of bless others. That's kind of like my whole thing now. I kind of just, everything that I do, I want it to have a purpose and not just be throwing something out into the stratosphere. I actually want to help people with my experiences and what I'm doing. And hopefully with this video, I'm kind of saving people a lot of hours on their lives and save yourself from getting a lot of white hairs. But when it comes to the videos and posting videos to Instagram and YouTube, and if you're a content creator, there's some things you have control of. You have control over, the quality of your content. You have control of how often you're posting. But in terms of the performance, if you're kind of starting out from zero, or you have a few hundred or a few thousand followers, sure, you could pop off a viral video, every once in a while. And actually, a viral video is a great way to gain momentum. And you can build off that and you can gain an audience that way. But you have to think a lot of that stuff is very algorithmic. It's very like in the moment. It's very much like you doing a video or having a title or a clickbaity, tag that like is very relevant to what's happening now. And there's something in, I don't know how the back end works on like YouTube or Google, or how the data is when it comes to videos, or why certain videos pop off. But you have to remember, guys, that a lot of that stuff is not exactly in your control. Now, like I said, you can certainly control your level of output. You can certainly spend a lot of time and work and do the grind, and you'll likely become successful with time. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, guys, don't worry about the numbers too much. Try not to. Like, it's certainly a way to kind of gauge your growth and gauge if you're doing well, but I don't want people to get completely wrapped up in that. I guess it's okay to be mindful of the numbers, but I just want you to kind of be focusing on the content and being fulfilled with what you're doing. Because put yourself in these shoes right now. You're doing videos, you're posting, you're doing very well, and then you actually get very popular and you blow up and you get millions and millions of followers, and you're doing the videos that you started off doing. Ask yourself the question, are you going to be happy? Legitimately, like, you have it all. You have the house, you have the cars, you have the followers, the fans, but with what you're doing, with what you're posting, and so many people reacting and engaging with what you're posting now, or however your content may evolve, but are you going to be happy doing what you're doing right now? Because if you're not, I would say I would stop and I would adjust. And if you're worried about people not liking the type of content you do, there's an audience for just about anything and everything out there. You know, it's like, sure, if you're not doing the most popular style of videos, you may not get the most views or the most followers. But if you're doing what you love doing, how awesome would it be to find a niche audience that loves what you love and that loves engaging with what your passion is? Like, you will be on the way to just total fulfillment if you kind of go about your career that way. So don't stress about things you can't control over. That's also a God thing. That's also from the Bible. You know, it's just going to help you in the long term if you kind of have that mentality from the beginning. And guys, I know that in my videos, I sometimes will talk, you know, based as if I'm talking to only creators or only people in entertainment. And I feel like that's kind of where my mind is geared. I feel like that's where I can kind of relate to people and help people the most. But this really has to do with any business or any person who's trying to start a brand. And social media is so inundated and so ingrained and injected into kind of our modern world and how society works and how brands work. You know, every brand has just about every brand has an account of some sort, or an Instagram or a Twitter. So this really applies to anyone who's in business, who's in advertising, who's in entertainment, across the board. So I want to tell a kind of a quick story about Facebook back in about 2015. So a lot of creators were kind of branching off at the time, and we were trying to find other platforms to kind of grow on. We had kind of mastered a few of them. And in my opinion, the people that know how to create content and do, you know, the funny videos and the skits, you know, they're the ones who can kind of grow the fastest, because at the end of the day, you're kind of selling relatability. So people love to laugh at a scene unfolding that they've kind of experienced before, or that maybe they haven't, but they've seen it happen with a friend. So people are more likely to share those kind of funny skits. So I feel like a lot of those creators in the early ages of Vine and people who are on Instagram doing skits really know how to grow on just about any platform that has that video aspect. So a lot of us went to Facebook to kind of try to grow there. And for a few months, and I think this was about 2015, the amount of people that were getting shares and followers on Facebook was insane. It was literally into the millions. Like, I remember people were getting millions of new likes on their page like a month, because this had been something new for Facebook, this new shorter kind of style viral video. And these videos were getting shared, and Facebook is the most global platform. So these people were getting hundreds of thousands of new followers from these other these countries that you would have never known you could have fans there, and people were getting so many millions of followers. But very soon after, Facebook was kind of discovering this, and you know, it's all fun and games until somebody really starts developing a massive audience, because then that platform realizes, hey, like, we created a huge star like from our platform, and now they have all of this influence and all of this reach. So I don't know what Facebook, you know, what they were doing, but basically what happened was they kind of stifled people's reach after a while, after seeing so many insane people grow so quickly. Like, I grew my page from, I think I had maybe 20 or 30,000 likes from just people or fans that like knew me from other platforms that just wanted to like my page there. But I actually started putting effort forth and posting a lot of videos on Facebook, and I grew my page to over 1.5 million likes in like a few months before Facebook kind of implemented this, how should I say it, this stifle apocalypse where nobody was able to really grow for a little while, and I think it kind of deterred a lot of people. Now, since then, Facebook has been amazing, and they've rolled out all these amazing opportunities for monetization, for creators to kind of like post videos, and they created the watch tab. And when I'm talking about this was in 2015, like still in the wild west of Facebook, and where everybody was kind of posting content like the same way through like the, you know, the one, like how you would post a status, but you could click video and upload a video. Like, this was very much before they kind of developed their whole video side. But I guess the reason I tell this whole story is because it comes back to there's some control that you have, but there's also control that you don't have. And I think that posting content and posting videos and doing all that stuff, you're kind of playing the lotto, and you're hoping that one of your tickets hit. But I guess my main point is start off doing what you enjoy doing and what your passion is. And don't start off by kind of jumping into whatever the wave is and just doing whatever else people are doing, because likely in a few years that probably won't be as popular, and you'll be stuck doing a style that it first of all is not as popular anymore and that you never really had a passion for, and that would be the absolute worst place to be. So when it comes to building many legions of millions of followers, I've had plenty of friends, plenty of people that I've been around who've gone through the struggle, and hitting your first million is an obviously incredible feeling. Like 1 million people is so many people. And it's the struggle for more, guys. At the end of the day, like you hit the first million, you dwell on it for, a day maybe, or a couple days. But what do you think the next step is when someone hits 1 million followers? Like, do they celebrate a little bit? Sure. They celebrate, they post a thing. Hey, we hit 1 million. Awesome. But then it's how can I get to that next million? Because I think this all comes back to the whole comparison aspect, and people want more. It's kind of like money. Same thing with money. Like you make some money, you make really good money, but a little bit more could be nice because you're elevating your lifestyle, you're buying more things, you buy a house, and then, but if I just had a little bit more, I could just do this and get this little thing. And followers and money are the same thing, guys. And I don't want people getting stuck in the loop of hitting 1 million, then hitting their next million, and then feeling like, I have 2 or 3 million, but like if I get to 10 million, I'll be like, one of the most followed people. But I guarantee you guys, like there are people out there who are not stopping. Like they've hit so many millions, and there's still something inside them that's not completely fulfilled. Because at the end of the day, like numbers are just numbers, And yeah, like I've been through it, guys. Like, and it's also the feeling of engagement, because let's say you get millions and millions of followers, but like your likes kind of they don't start going down maybe, but maybe they do start going down, and maybe you have a lot of old followers, but you've built an audience of so many millions, but you're not getting the same likes to follower ratio, and you're like, hey, what the heck's going on? Like, where are my old followers and old fans? And believe me, there's a struggle at every step of the journey. Like there's the struggle in the very beginning. I don't have any followers. Like nobody's liking my stuff. And then there's, I hit 1 million followers, but man, like, how do I find a way to get to the next million? And how do I like start getting a larger audience from here? Like, where do I go? And then when you're at the tippy top and you have millions and millions, you're like, oh man, my engagement, it's so much lower than it was when I had less followers, or, oh man, I'm spent on what my passion is, and like I don't know where to go from here. Like guys, you can see how many creators struggle with this. Like you can look around on YouTube and Instagram and see that people go through these spells of like, what their passions are, and like how they evolve, and how a lot of creators go through a lot of mental health stuff because they've built a huge audience and they've been serving them for so many years, and they've kind of, maybe they have a dry spell, they run out of ideas. But that's why I think that your passion is what's going to fuel all of this stuff. It's going to keep you from worrying so much about it. The content you're doing, the product you're making, whatever you're doing, you can have an audience of 10 or you can have an audience of 10 million, but you have to still be enjoying what you're doing along the way. Because not only will you struggle with the numbers worry about building and growing, you're also going to struggle with, what am I doing? And then you might have to do this huge switch in what you're doing, which might frustrate your audience. And they're like, whoa, what the heck? Like they're doing something different now. I didn't sign up for this, or I didn't follow you for this. And then people don't want to engage as much anymore. So I'm not trying to paint this big, like this is some like fake facade and the world is not what you think it is, but in a way it's not, and I want people to have a realistic expectation of what it's like to grow, a brand, or grow, yourself as a creator. I want people to have the right motives going into it. I want people to be happy throughout their career, because I've felt times of, sadness and frustration. I feel like I got into some of the stuff I was doing off of something that went viral that I wasn't really trying to do in the very beginning. And then I had to kind of stick with this style, even though this really wasn't my thing, I came out to LA to do acting and to make music, but then I kind of got into this whole digital world and doing funny skits and kind of producing content, and that's not really what my original thing was. So I've struggled with a lot of it, guys, but at the end of the day, like, what's kept me happy and what's kept me sane over the years is going back and doing what has been a passion of mine. Like, it took me a few years to get back to the music, guys, because I felt like, in a way, it was my responsibility to take advantage of what God put in my life. And what God presented was an incredible opportunity to set up my family, to make good money, to make great connections, and to learn how to be a great content producer and a great storyteller. And I didn't really have comedy skills, honestly. Like, I did funny things, but like, it got me good at kind of doing comedy in a way for those brief years. I really kind of jumped into it and I figured out what was working. But whether it's a lot of money, whether it's a lot of followers, gaining the numbers will only carry your soul so far. You have to be doing what you enjoy doing. And I want to save you guys lots and lots of time, lots and lots of stress by telling you from the gate, make sure you're enjoying what you're doing, because there is a likely chance that you could find a very, very big breakthrough and you could go very far. Like, it's very, very possible. So I think that when it comes to numbers, I think the number that you need to focus on beyond just like the likes or the amount of followers is the amount of hours you're spending on your craft, the amount of time you're spending on being the best you can be, and making sure this is something that you'd want to do for the foreseeable future. And I just did a video about how you don't have to do just one thing and you can evolve. And I'm an example of that. I'm an example of somebody who's evolved and who's parlayed on my career. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of interesting things that can happen, guys. Like, the old saying, you get what you wish for. Like, it certainly can happen. And my thing is, I know that is a fact. I know that God can bless people abundantly like you've never seen before. And that's what he did in my life. And I just want you to be the most prepared. I want, people who are in this world to understand, like, this is what comes with the job. And that if you kind of take these steps in the beginning, I think you'll be a lot more fulfilled as you go along. All right, guys. So I know I went a little bit long, but as promised, I'd like to just briefly answer a few of your questions that some of you guys asked me. And Casturi said, I would love to hear your thoughts on how not to get comfortable because something is easier. It's the easier way, and focus on bettering your craft, engaging and learning. And her thing is dance and music. And she says, it's the self-critic which stops me every time in the existence of so much talent in the world that I feel like I don't stand anywhere. My family and friends are immensely supportive. Well, Casturi, that's an amazing start, that your family and friends are supportive, because they're going to be the ones that keep you going through the really tough times. So I'm glad that you have that aspect. Now, for the whole idea of going the easy route and not bettering your craft because it seems too hard, or it seems like there's so many talented people in the world. And she says this, and this really gets to me too, guys. Like, I look around and I'm like, man, there's so many more talented people than me. Like, there's so many people that are better at this and that. And it's still a struggle. It's still something that I deal with and that I think about. But my dad told me something when I was young that really stuck with me. And he told me as a kid, like, there's always going to be somebody better than you. And like, as a kid, that kind of gets to your heart. And like, even as an adult, you're like, if somebody told you that, like, that would kind of be like, oh, well, do I really have a chance then at like being great? And the reason he said that was he kind of set the tone for my career and let me know that I'm good enough and I'm very much good enough to succeed, and that I'm a well-rounded guy and I have a lot of talents. But just expect there's always going to be somebody better at you at one thing. Because you know what I've told people, Casturi? Everyone is the best version of themselves. Like, Casturi, no one is better than you at dance and music and drawing, or being a social person, or knowing how to help a friend in need. Like, nobody has that combo like you do. You are the best in the world at being you. And I have to remember the same thing. Like, there's no guy in the world who's better at talking, creating content, who is as fast as me, who is as good at ultimate frisbee than me. Like, it's a funny, stupid thing to kind of say, but like, I know that I'm the best version of me in the world. So sure, Kesturi, maybe there is one person who's better at dancing than you, who has tighter moves, but you don't have to think that that is your only route and your only reason to not do what you want to do. Like, there's so many parts of you that are amazing that separate you from this person who just might be better at you than one thing. So try to keep that in mind. And I think that you're going to go very far. And in terms of taking the easy route, like I said, I think it's okay to have a plan B in life. Like, that's, in my version of plan B is the career that you take while you're pursuing until you're able to make money doing the thing you really want to do. It's okay to have that plan B career and make money, even if it is the easy way out, until you're able to make a living and make it in your passion and where you want to be. So I hope that answered your question. And then Varsha, thank you so much for your comment. She says, can you talk about how to reduce negativity or how to deal with toxic friendships? Because I feel like this has a major impact on a lot of our lives. And I want to do a video about this as well. And I think that everybody has a friend or someone that they kind of are in contact a lot with who's a little bit toxic, who's not really a good influence, who's not really pouring in love and support and inspiration into their lives. And honestly, guys, I'm not really a fan of cutting someone completely off. Like, some people would say, drop them and don't ever talk to them again. Because I think that part of me thinks that, like, that person needs you. Like, even though they may be very negative and may not be good for you, like, they need you. Like, maybe God wants you to kind of reach them in a way, to maybe heal their heart. Maybe they have some anger and some issues, from their past or from their family life that they kind of like take out on other people. So when it comes to a toxic friendship, Varsha, I don't think you cut the person off, but I think you do take a distance for your own good and for your own, mental health, because some of these people really can like kind of bring down your morale and kind of like make you feel a little bit stressed. Everyone has that friend who kind of like being around them, it's like it kind of stresses you out a little bit. Maybe they have a lot of stuff that they kind of tell you all the time about their personal life and it kind of weighs down on you. I think you need to show those people the most love. And I think that you should be there for them when they need you, but I think that you can kind of limit how often you're exposing yourself, because I don't want I don't want them to rub off on you in the wrong way. If that makes sense. So anyways, guys, I want to answer a few of these questions that you guys left me last week in the next few videos at the very end. And if you got this far, thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I hope that you guys could get a little tidbit from this video. If you're kind of pursuing a career where the numbers are involved and likes and followers, because I know it's a very, very present thing in society now, and how people think that that's so important. But at the end of the day, guys, you need to fast forward and think about yourself in 10 years. Like, are these platforms, first of all, are they still going to be here? Like, we don't know, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. But just remember, you're building on a platform that might have a limited shelf lifespan. So that's why I think it's okay to put out content and to build and to, build your brand, and you can think about the followers and the likes, and you can gauge how much you're doing, but don't rest your whole livelihood on that. And invest in your talents and put the hours in. That's the numbers that I think that you should focus on the most. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it, and please share it with somebody who you think might need to hear this message today, and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I will see you guys on the next one.